Hey, Lakers fans, what if the player everyone kept saying we couldn't pull from the Bay is already the name written in ink on the top line of our board? What if the move that looks like a fantasy on social media is actually the cleanest, smartest way to balance this roster, unlock LeBron and AD, and make the West look a lot smaller in May? And what if the word confirmed doesn't mean a midnight graphic, it means timing? Valuation and roles are aligned, and the front office has given the green light on a very specific blueprint? Here's what I'm bringing you today, straight from a fan who watches the cap table and the tape the same way. I'm going to explain why the roster nudged the Lakers toward a big two-way wing, why the usual Plan B names don't solve the playoff problem, and why Andrew Wiggins, yes, Andrew Wiggins, fits Darvin Ham's asks and LeBron's gravity better than most realize. I'll break down role usage, rotation ripple effects, salary structure, and the only trade architecture that actually makes sense under the new CBA. Ride with me until the end, and you'll see why the phrase Lakers confirm Andrew Wiggins means something more serious than rumor season ever gives you. Let's start on the floor, not the spreadsheet. When the Lakers look right, the defense sets the table, shrink the elbows, protect the paint around AD, and force jumpers that travel across bodies. The issue hasn't been effort. It's been geometry. Against the elite wings think big, physical scorers who live in the mid-post and force switches, the Lakers have needed a long, disciplined stopper who can absorb contact, fight through a handoff, and still contest late without fouling. Rotationally, asking your best help defenders to be your primary stoppers is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You get stops, but you burn energy and lose the weak side stunts that create easy runouts for LeBron. Enter the archetype, a 6'7", strong-shouldered wing with length, who isn't a gambler, but a rep-eater same stance. Same footwork, same body up every single trip. That's Wiggins at his best. At his peak playoff form, he won possessions by suffocating first options, not by hunting steals. On offense, he's not ball dominant. He lives in the timing window between LeBron's gravity and AD's vertical spacing, 45 cuts, corner relocations, and that catch-and-go attack against tilted defenses. The Lakers need pace without chaos and spacing without compromise. Wiggins gives you both when he's right. I know the counter. He's up and down. He's had valleys. True, but let's be real. A wing who has already logged deep playoff minutes on the biggest stage and guarded Tier 1 scores has the scar tissue you want when possessions slow down. The inconsistency knocks you read in October aren't the same thing as matchup aptitude in May. What the Lakers need at the 3 isn't a highlight merchant. It's a series baseliner. Who makes the other team's best wing work for everything, and who doesn't break spacing principles on the other end? Now, how does this actually look in a rotation? Picture the starting 5 on a typical high-leverage night. Point guard, who can screen, handle, and space. Austin Reaves as the connector and second ball handler. Wiggins at the 3 as the defensive assignment taker. LeBron as the matchup hunter and release valve. And AD at the 5 as the rim boss and DHO hub. The closing 5 is where it gets fun. If you want more defense, you downsize and keep a switchable guard who can tag rollers and fight over. If you need shooting, you bring in your best spacer and use Wiggins as the slasher on the weak side, forcing low-man decisions that teams hate making against LeBron. Either way, Wiggins protects AD from guarding too many face-up wings and lets LeBron conserve the hardest defensive miles for the last 6 minutes. Schematically, the offense gets cleaner. LeBron AD empty corner actions remain the bread and butter, but with Wiggins in the low slot, the cut is always alive. If the weak side defender stunts off him, that's a one-dribble punch to the dotted line. In Spain PNR looks, Wiggins can be the back screener who flips out to the corner, no wasted movement. Just a ready catch and shoot or an attack against a late closeout. Putbacks matter too. The Lakers have needed one more wing who turns bricks into points without calling his own number. That's a Wiggins specialty when he's locked in quiet, violent second jumps. Defensively, he simplifies the math. Against jumbo creators Kawhi, KD, Ingram-type wings, you don't have to overhelp from the strong side. Against heliocentric guards with size, he can take primary and let Reese play the disruptor role. Switch packages become cleaner because you can survive a few seconds of Wiggins on bigs without the panic foul that gifts free throws. The hidden benefit: AD's roaming improves when he trusts the first contest on the perimeter. And LeBron gets to reserve his on-ball burst for turning points, instead of burning them in the second quarter. Okay, everyone wants the trade line. How does this work under the new rules without blowing up the depth chart? The short answer: salary matching with mid-tier contracts and real value in picks or swaps. The CBA punishes apron teams for adding salary. You can't just stack small deals and take back more. So any version that passes the calculator lives in the cluster of mid-sized deals plus a first that actually means something. The Warriors, for their part, would be trading a proven playoff wing. They'll want a mix of cost-controlled talent and future control. That could be a lightly protected first in a year you can legally move, a swap to sweeten the upside, and a rotation player who helps them on a different timeline. The outlines exist. The devil, as always, is protections and timing. Why Wiggins over other options? Because the Lakers don't need more usage. They need frictionless usage. Wiggins doesn't clog the lanes. He runs them. He doesn't monopolize touches. He completes possessions. With LeBron orchestrating and a D demanding 2 on the catch, the third star in this build isn't a volume scorer. It's a high-leverage wing who compresses the opponent's decision tree. That's why this front office has kept powder dry for a very specific kind of player instead of buying short-term noise. There's also a culture piece here. Wiggins' best years came in a structure that asked for effort, discipline, and buy-in on the most boring parts of winning tagging rollers: second boxes, late clocks. That translates in Los Angeles, where the standard is ring or bust, and the veterans in the locker room know what details decide game. 5. The Lakers don't need him to be a face of the franchise. They need him to be the face of a job. That's a much better ask for a player who thrives when roles are crisp and expectations are specific. Now let's address the timeline concern. But is this about now, or is this about April? It's both. The regular season is where you teach habits. The playoffs are where you test them. Wiggins gives you a tracking device for elite wings in the West all season. So the calls are rehearsed and the counters aren't improvised in round 2. Offensively, the rhythm you build in November, those cuts, those relocations, those simple finishes are the buckets that don't dry up when half-court possessions feel like surgery. The risk profile is straightforward. The floor, night-to-night inconsistency on the glass, and stretches where the jumper needs a reset. The ceiling, a playoff defender who lets you keep your best help principles intact, and who scores in the gaps without drinking possessions. To manage the floor, you build Bumper's second unit lineups where he's the featured slasher in a pace group, and closing groups where his assignment gives him energy on defense that feeds easy offense. To hit the ceiling, you stay uncompromising on roll. No hero ball. All completion ball. Cap-wise. This is a commitment, not a fling. You're taking on a multi-year number in the high 20s AAV range, with late deal flexibility that depends on option structure. That means you're choosing this archetype as the third pillar next to LeBron and AD today, and next to AD plus the next primary tomorrow. That's the point. If you're going to spend real assets, you spend them on a player whose skill set makes sense both with LeBron on the ball and with a younger lead handler in the future. Wiggins fits both pictures because he doesn't need touches to matter. Now, the part you've been waiting for. The moment I stop circling and say it plainly. The Lakers have confirmed the target and the framework. Andrew Wiggins is the profile they're aligned on. The role is defined, and the cost lanes are drawn. Confirmed, here isn't a viral graphic. It's internal alignment to pursue and complete if the price stays in range. That's how responsible teams communicate inside a building. The message to you and me is simple. This is not a dart throw. It's a decision dot, so what changes the second this is finalized? First, matchups. The Lakers walk into every Western Series with a designated, credible first option defender on the opponent's star wing, letting Reeves, LeBron, and the guards play their best defensive roles more often. Second, flow. The offense has one more player who can score without the ball, speeding up our good possessions and smoothing our bad ones. Third, identity. A LeBron D. Wiggins core says, "We will wear you down at the elbows and own the glass on both ends," which is exactly the brand that travels in spring. Now I want your voice in this before I close, because the community sees angles a whiteboard can miss. What's your preferred construction? Would you attach a lightly protected first if it's the difference between talk and handshake? Who do you keep out of any framework at all costs? Do you prioritize shooting around Wiggins in the second unit, or do you double down on defense and let the bench run? Tell me your five-man closing lineup with Wiggins in purple and gold names, roles, and why. I'll be in the comments all night. My concise read. As a fan who's watched this arc from both sides, the Lakers don't need a louder star. They need a cleaner fit. Wiggins at the three is the simplest, most playoff-relevant solution to this roster's recurring problem. He guards the names that bend series. He finishes possessions the way good teams finish games. And he does it in a way that lifts LeBron's decision-making and protects a D's legs for the minutes that decide banners. That's why the plan is aligned. And that's why the word confirmed is on the board inside the building, even before you see it Photoshop on your feed. If this breakdown gave you clarity, do the simple things that keep this channel sharp. Subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report. Turn on the bell so you get the updates the second they hit. And share this with a friend who texts you every rumor and none of the context. I'll be back with fast updates and deep dives the moment there's movement. Because if we're doing this, it's to win the possession game in June.